Good morning, and welcome to another session of Facebook Live Tuesday Tour. I can tell you that we're starting just a little bit early this morning because as we look to the west, there's some ominous clouds headed this way, and we thought we would try to get this session in. But you will excuse us if we feel a few raindrops coming and we start heading to our car. But we wanted to bring you this session this morning from the south part of campus. John Sautter and along with April Holleiter and her production team behind the camera from Purdue Alumni Association, bringing you another session of Facebook Live. Today we're south on campus on Harrison Street, if you know the campus, actually standing in front of the Lynn and Lynn Hall, which is the home of the vet school. So we're going to talk about who Lynn was, Charles J. Lynn, the building and him, the school. We're going to have a look at our sculpture, Continuum, right down the way, a fairly well-known sculpture on campus, and then actually finish up by talking about some of the horticulture greenhouses right behind April here on Harrison Street. So another spot on campus with some history. We hope you enjoy this one. So Lynn Hall, names for Charles J. Lynn. This building was dedicated in October of 1960. Actually, the vet school had officially started in 1959, just the year before, named for Charles J. Lynn. Charles J. Lynn turns out is a very interesting man. He and his wife Dorothy lived in Indianapolis. Charles Lynn lived in Indianapolis, born 1874, the year the university's first class met. And when he was 21 years old in 1895, he meets Colonel Eli Lilly on the train on the way home from Chicago. They strike up a conversation, get along very well, and Eli Lilly hires him as a salesman. Turns out that was the beginning of a 50-year career with Eli Lilly, working his way up to be a vice president. Very successful career. In addition to that, though, he had a huge interest in veterinary practices, and in fact had a huge farm that he accumulated a lot of acreage, around 620 acres, just east of Carmel, which became Linwood Farms, which eventually became the Prairie View Golf Course located today. Here he had a national reputation, and we're starting to feel raindrops. Here he had a national reputation for experimental work, breeding in particular, with cattle and with horses, work horses, farm horses. His goal was to take farm horses and make them gentle so you could actually ride them. April, why don't we start walking inside the building, just so we can kind of get some things done here. So he had a reputation for breeding horses and hogs and cattle, and because of that amassed quite a fortune there. And because of that, he again had Linwood Farms, 620 acres. They said they had about 100 miles worth of fence in that farm alone. One guy alone took care of all that fencing. But in the late 40s or so, late 50s or so, he decided to dedicate this. We're not going to go in, we'll just stand here in the opening just a little bit. So I'll run the rain. Thank you for bearing with me. So Linwood Farms, east of Carmel, Hamilton County, Prairie Golf Courses. So eventually he had an interest in this. The university actually had been doing veterinary practices since around 1877. So he decided to gift the entire land, the entire Linwood Farms, to Purdue, which he did. And so he gifted the entire Linwood Farms to Purdue. It became an experimental station for the School of Veterinary Medicine that was starting to emerge at the time. And eventually, as Indianapolis is expanding and they needed the acreage, they sold it, and it was worth a lot of money at the time, and so Purdue got a significant gift. As a result of that, Lynn became a trustee of the university from 1945 to 1958, the year of his death. So quite a good involvement with the university. He actually helped found the Purdue Research Foundation and helped settle it in. He actually was he and Dorothy both were significant contributors to the Indianapolis Society. In fact, the Indianapolis Symphony still has the Lynn Society that involves fundraising within the symphony, and so it's he's still well known in that particular area. We would be walking down the street to talk about the sculpture in front, and it's still raining just a little bit too much, and it's lightning also, otherwise we'd have our umbrella out there. But maybe April can get a look at it over the side here. It's actually a very attractive 7-piece sculpture. The bigger piece is a 16 by 9 foot replica of a cave, where you actually see the drawings on the side of the cave walls. The entire sculpture is dedicated to the human-animal journey by way of art, and so it's supposed to show the relationship between human and animals over the years. And if you could get up close to it, the different 7 pieces, you can see that they actually have a horse, and it's the skeletal in the replication on the outside actually of the horse. You can actually get up close to it and actually touch it and feel it. It's a very interactive sculpture. And there's a hog then where it talks about its circulation system, and there's a cat where it has an outline of the nervous system on the cat. If you could look behind it, you would see there's a female veterinary student with her stethoscope that's listening to the cat. A little bit further on, there's a male, older man in a lab coat with some test tubes, and that's symbolic of the research component of the vet school. And then the last on the end is a young boy frolicking with a dog, and so it's really the journey of art, through the years. All in front of Lynn Hall, all a part of the vet school here at Purdue. And so let's talk a little bit about the School of Veterinary Medicine. School of Veterinary Medicine is one of 30 in the United States. Not every state has one. Very highly regarded, very difficult to get into, I might mention also. I think last fall they told me they had 1,200 applications for 87 slots. So that's 1 out of about 14 people who apply get into it. Last fall, the university, 1 out of 7 students who applied got into the university. So it's almost twice as difficult to get into the vet school as it is to get into the university itself. Very selective. But if you do, you obviously have a pretty enriching career headed your way. The vet school is actually divided into three main divisions. One is the teaching laboratories, the diagnostic hospitals they have, teaching hospitals. So they have a large animal and a small animal clinic. Most are aware of those. Of the large animal, obviously, are the larger farm animals. Although, again, with a conversation with Dean Willie Reed just a few weeks ago, who's doing a superb job of providing leadership for the school, I was asking him what were the largest animals that they've ever treated. And he actually said once upon a time, they actually treated an elephant and a giraffe. And most recently, they treated a camel, kind of on the exotic animal side of things, mostly from zoos. But it does happen here. On the smaller side of things are the cats and the dogs, and most of us have had a cat or a dog. I know April brings her cat here on a regular basis for its checkups and those sorts of things. And if you happen to have an ailment, the students are very well schooled. Once you get home, it's not unusual for your cat or your dog to get a get well card from the person who gave you the review. If things don't go so well, sometimes you get a sympathy card also, that sort of thing. But excellent care is provided through those two. That's the biggest section. The next one is an equine center, the horse basically study center of the school, very well known for that. In fact, the vet school just got approved for a $36 million addition just around the corner, where they're going to be putting on an addition just dedicated to horses. That'll be starting, they'll be breaking ground probably in about a year or so, for that. Then the third department within the vet school is the Indiana Diseased Animal Diagnostic Center. And so for the entire state and region, they actually do animal disease diagnosis. So you can imagine, herds of cattle get a particular disease or other farm animals, that sort of thing. This is the group that it can actually make some offerings there and make some diagnosis. So very highly regarded vet school, all right here. Continuum is the name of the sculpture in front. It's also the name of the cafe inside, which I think April and I are going to be deserving of a good cup of coffee after this as we go to their cafe and enjoy that. But they have their own, snack bar within the building itself. And then lastly, I wanted to point out across the street greenhouses, which we all pass by every day, and we just refer to them as the greenhouses. It's actually the plant growth experience across the hall, across the street. They actually have 25 different greenhouse rooms there. They have growth chambers there also. They have walk-in. Hey, Kevin. They actually have growth chambers. They have walk-in coolers for doing a lot of the variety of research on a lot of the plants and things that they grow year-round. If you drive by here at night, it's very well illuminated as a part of the department in landscape architecture. So I wanted to highlight those. Really pretty much state-of-the-art, highly regarded school also, right across the street. So that's it. We're a little bit soggy right now, but we wanted to make sure we got the session in from the south part of campus. You'll have to come here. I would really encourage you next time you're at campus to come stop by and see the Continuum structure. You'll get a better view than we gave you today. And it's actually lit with purple lights from different angles. It's really quite impressive. So make sure you put that on your spot to visit campus on your next visit. And we hope you do come back to campus sometime soon. We appreciate your watching our different sessions that we offer, and your comments are always appreciated. And we do respond to every comment we get, so keep those coming too. So on behalf of April and myself, thanks for watching. Hail Purdue. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.